Welcome back to Global. I'm Tim Wilcox. Now, have you ever wondered what people are thinking when you pass them in a park, sitting on a bench? What would it be like to get a glimpse into that stranger's life and thoughts? Well, Dessa Lohrey from Atlanta was so curious about this that she started an experiment, Bench Diary. A diary is tied to a bench. It's normally a pink one, I think, to collect the thoughts of people who are willing to share them anonymously. It started in June 2013 in Atlanta and has now grown into a global storytelling project with entries for 18 cities, 8 countries and 4 continents. In a minute, we'll be speaking to Dessa Lohrey, but first, let's take a look at what some people have been sharing in their bench diaries.
Today is the 118th Boston Marathon. Today reminded me of why I call Boston my home, why I have always loved this city, and what it means to be Boston strong.
I'm waiting for a handsome Englishman to arrive off his plane from Copenhagen. There's nothing like a summer romance.
My mum is a jerk. She made me put back a turtle that I caught.
I asked him why he was staring at me so much, and he replied, "Because I enjoy looking at the beautiful things in this world, and won't deny myself the pleasure of observing you, just because you think it strange."
Hi, Bench Diary. I'm Bench Tramp. I sometimes wish people would say hello to me and not avoid eye contact when they walk by.
A date that I'll never forget. It would have been our 1-year anniversary together, but life prepared different paths for us. I haven't stopped thinking about you for a single day.
Well, so just some of the entries in those bench diaries. Dessa Lohrey, founder of Bench Diaries, joining us from Atlanta, and Professor Claire Brandt from the Centre for Life Writing Research at King's College London is with me here on our very own park bench, which is a bit dirty, actually, isn't it? I'm sorry about that. It hasn't been cleaned. Nice to see you, Dessa. Can I start with you, because what made you set this up?
Well, like you mentioned, it was really just curiosity, because I live in a big city here in Atlanta, and I pass, possibly hundreds of people in any given day on the street, and we all have thoughts swirling around in our head that we might not always have a way or an opportunity to express.
So how quickly did people start filling it in?
I got entries in all 4 diaries that I put out on the very first day. So pretty quickly.
And we saw some of them. I mean, that very funny one from a little child saying his mother was a jerk because she made him put the turtle back. But it is anonymous, but you ask for their ages, don't you? Why is that important?
Yes, I do ask for ages. I think it's interesting to see what kind of thoughts people share in different stages of their lives. And we've had a large range of ages, all the way from that child who was probably around 5 years old, all the way up to someone who is 90 years old. And they all have different experiences to share.
Dessa, stay with us. Let's talk to Claire Brandt here. I mean, it's often said, isn't it, that people keep diaries hoping that other people will read them because, they're doing it not just for themselves. Is that true or not?
People who write diaries have very various motives and intentions, but many, yes, do want somebody in the future, either their family or perhaps posterity, to be able to see what they write.
But this idea of an anonymous diary, what do you think of it?
I think it's a really interesting project. It's extraordinary what people share. Dessa's invitation is a clever one in that it invites people to share innermost or outermost thoughts. So you get both, I think, and sometimes a play between.
And Dessa, I mean, have there been people who've expressed real euphoria and indeed real suffering and depression in the year that you've been doing this?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, an example of that would be there was a couple who wrote in the diary about how they were newly in love and how they were just infatuated with each other, and they each kind of wrote love letters to each other in the diary. And then they came back about 3 months later and continued to share what their life is like together. And then finally, a couple of months ago, we got an entry from just the girl in the relationship, talking about how they had broken up and how writing in the diary had been kind of a significant part of the relationship.
Right. And Claire, is it a cathartic thing for people to do? Is that part of the reason of writing a diary?
It can be. We like to think of them as authentic and artless, and offloading and just processing is very much part of that psychology. But that's not necessarily true for everybody. Some people, as Dessa's entries show, will consider what they have to say quite carefully.
And the fact that they are writing it, is that important, or are you seeing more people keeping sort of computer diaries now?
You see a lot more. I mean, there are webcams and sense cams and blogging for digital forms of diary keeping, but the traditional handwriting diary is still alive and well. And I think that's an important part of the project. And also its location, the sense that it uses a bench. A bench is a continuous character in the narrative. It becomes almost like a person. It has arms, a seat, feet, it supports us. So it invites us.
It's more comfortable than the chair in the studio, actually. I know. And Dessa, what's the funniest thing that's been written?
I actually personally believe that the entry from the child saying "my mom's a jerk" is the funniest that we've gotten. That's one of my favorites.
And when you started it, I mean, is it in a park which is local to you? Do you think you know any of the people, even though they haven't put their names?
It's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. Even though Atlanta's a big city, it definitely feels like a small town, especially in my neighborhood. And it's actually become feeling more so like that through this project. I feel closer to my neighbors through this project.
What's the difference, though, in the diaries that you put in different countries? How do different countries compare?
Well, you can see the personality of different countries and different cities reveal itself through the diary entries. Like, for instance, the entries coming out of Calgary, Canada, definitely have a personality. They all tend to be very positive and very just uplifting, and compared to some other places, they might not be as uplifting or as positive. That's one example.
And have they ever been tampered with or sort of destroyed?
Yes, definitely. We do have a handful of diaries get taken or cleaned up by cleaning crews, or even stolen. And we've had a little bit of vandalism happen, but for the most part, people leave them alone, and they really respect them.
All right. OK, that's great. It's really fascinating. Dessa, Claire, thank you both very much indeed. Time for us to write our own, I think.